Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hitting the Bars. This is Kelty speaking, and I want to introduce the one, the only, formerly known as Sam Wright, and now Savannah Hummel.
Wow.
How's it going? Yeah, you're a married woman.
I'm a married woman. It's fantastic. You know, you have this like sense of sadness the wedding is over, and then you also have this sense of relief the wedding is over. And it feels great. You're like in a little love bubble, little honeymoon bubble, which is cute, even if you don't do a honeymoon. And yeah, I'm no longer Savannah Wright. But full disclosure, I will keep my name Savannah Wright on all social media because it's too much effort to change that. But legally, I will be Savannah Hummel.
I always thought that. I was like, that's a lot of, I would just be anxious of someone like stealing my Instagram if I change the last name. You know what I mean? I've always thought that. I'm like, I'm just too paranoid to change my Instagram handle. Are you gonna claim the handle just to have the other one?
I did like a year ago, and then like Instagram is so weird. If you make a new account and you don't do anything with it, it'll ban it automatically. Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like I just claimed the name and then I can't log back into it. So I'm like, honestly, I don't really care. Like, I'll always be a Wright, no matter what. Yeah. Like, for me, it's like, I'll always identify at some point with Wright. So I don't know, at the end of the day, it's a handle. It's like, it's not that serious, you know?
Oh, yeah. But I was just more curiosity. Curiosity. Apparently I can't speak because I'm still hungover from the wedding, which is what we're just going to chat about the wedding today. Just get everyone in on the insider scoop of what happened. And I just got to ask overall. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say the real inside scoop, this is the only place we review the wedding, which I like.
Exactly. I'm excited. And overall, I know you mentioned it. I just got to ask, like, how are you feeling? I know you said like relieved, sad, like what's the state of in your mind right now?
I feel fantastic. I think the wedding went swimmingly. I think it was so much fun. I'm so happy we did it because I personally wanted to elope. And Michael was like, well, when else can we get everybody we love? And that is so true. Like, I was overwhelmed during the wedding, but I just loved being around all my best friends. So 10 out of 10 would recommend that. I would do that again in a heartbeat. But now it's kind of like weird because you kind of have like, no matter how long you plan it. So it took me a year and a half to plan. You have like this sense that it's kind of like lingering over you. It's in the back of your head of like, oh, I still need to do this. I need to do that. Like, I need to invite these people. And now I'm like, oh my God, I don't have anything like I'm not hosting anything anymore. And that to me is like so freeing. And I now can like focus on other projects that I kind of pushed aside. Like I was just telling Kelty before we hopped on, I'm like working on my house now. And there's been things that were neglected for months. And now I can finally like get them accomplished and make it really feel like our home. It's like my little nesting thing or something with no baby, just Bentley. Aww. But yeah.
I love that.
Except Bentley, lately, whenever we go away, something is happening to him. I don't know if he's getting anxiety. We usually don't leave him. He's a fantastic dog sitter. He loves the doggy sitter. But I think he's just getting anxious as he gets older. And the most recent thing is he like scratched his face to where like there's little doggy scabs and he's like balding now. And it was a bacteria infection from like the humidity. So I went to the vet, got antibiotics for him. But the poor little man just had a rough month.
Oh, poor guy felt your wedding stress. He just like, you know what I mean? Like animals just take on so much. So he felt you were stressed. So he got stressed.
I know.
And hopefully he also recovers and he feels a weight off his shoulders. I've got to ask. Does it feel like, I remember this feeling, do you remember after exams in university and there was like that week of anxiety after it was done of being like, oh, I've got to do this. And then you're like, wait, I have nothing to study for. I can just go about my day like that. Just that when you ever have a spare moment, you should be doing something. Is it that kind of the same feeling you have right now?
Yes. Also, it was like, I was constantly communicating with everybody, being like, whether, you know, I had a lot of parents being like, what's the plan for this? What's the plan before? What's the plan for this? And so to just have like nobody like relying on information from me anymore, I'm like, this is amazing. I think it's just like, I enjoyed planning it. And I think it was truly my dream wedding. Everything was what I wanted, but I think the coordinating stressed me out the most. That was probably my worst thing is like, I just hate coordinating and being the person they go to, because half the time I don't know the answer to it.
Oh God, I can just imagine. Even like any question, I almost refused to text you the last 2 weeks, because I didn't want to. But I was like, the last thing she needs is like 10 trillion people asking small details. So I'm like, just figure it out. Because I can't imagine how much you were being bombarded from just people actually help you with the wedding, let alone just like trivial things. Oh, I cannot imagine.
Totally.
I'm glad you don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and it was funny because Millie, when she got to the resort, I was like, she had been in Cabo for a couple of days with Simon, and I was like, why didn't you reach out to me? And she was like, I was honestly scared to reach out to you because of how many people are reaching out to you at this moment. She was like, I didn't want to bug you. And I was like, you wouldn't have bugged me. So that's where I'm like, I'm going to be bugged by my friends. But I think she just was like, you were already like entertained, because we went a week early and like hung out with our family. So she was like, you're already entertaining them. Like, it's totally fine. I was going to see you. And I'm like, okay, well, I would have liked if you just reached out to me, because we both stayed at the same condo in Cabo. And like Airbnb. And I was like, what the heck? We could have said hi. And she was like, I know, but you were just busy with your sister. Like, I know her fiance, Simon, who was actually one of Michael's groomsmen. He did like come over, but I was with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. So I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. I was busy the entire time.
Isn't that the irony though? Like, that's such just like a metaphor for life, of how often like you don't want to interrupt someone, or you don't want to like be in someone's way, so you don't reach out, and then they're sitting there and be like, oh, why aren't you reaching out? Like, whether it be relationships of any kind, is that just like, I feel I've always been stuck in that cycle, being like, oh, they're gonna think I'm annoying. They're sitting there and be like, why don't you reach out?
Yeah. Well, even the very first night, you didn't go to the bar after the like welcome party, and so I texted you the next day and was like, where were you? And you were like, oh, no, we like stretched, and then we went to bed early because you were tired from flying, which made sense. But you're like, oh, thanks for asking. I'm like, of course, like I wanted to see you, so I'm glad I did. I got to have some good little hangout times with you, like especially when you came to dinner. I was so happy you did.
Oh, I'm so glad too. Because even like I got in late Thursday. I went down, kind of saw everyone, said hi. And then everyone kind of broke up from dinner, and Nona was going to the gym. And then I was like, ooh, she's so busy. I don't know. And then I was like, I'll just go with Nona. And then I was like, she probably won't even notice. And I don't want to get in her way. So I was like, I'll just sneak away. And then you actually noticed. I was like, oh,
of course I did.
It. So,
of course.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm sitting there being like, no one will notice me sneaking away.
But I'm glad.
Now back to, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was glad you went to the dinner. It was like we ran into Nona, Arev, and Kelty at dinner, and I was like, come join. And Nona and Arev was like, I'm going to go to bed. And you're like, okay, I'll come join. And I was glad, because one of the last days I was like, oh yeah, Kelty, come get brunch with us. And then I felt like I had 20 million people that were like, hi. Wedding was great. And then I never saw you. So,
yeah. Just classic. It's that tough line of like, just I'm thankful for any time I got with the bride, because you know what I mean, just gotta savor it. So I'm glad we got that dinner, and just little moments here or there.
Absolutely.
Because you were a very hot commodity.
I felt so wanted for the first time. I was like, oh my God, all these people know me. It's wild.
Okay, I've got to ask.
Yes.
Because you did a destination wedding, which is a hot topic, not hot topic, but like some people love it, some people hate it. What was your favorite part about doing the destination in Cabo?
Okay, my favorite part about planning a destination wedding, well, one, we didn't really have a choice, because where we live, nobody else lives here. So it was going to be a destination no matter what. And we don't identify with living in Washington anymore. A lot of our families left. So no matter where we were going, people were going to travel. So we thought, why not make it somewhere we love? So we have always adored Cabo. I love the culture, I love the food, I love the views, the weather, and I think the biggest plus to a destination is, yes, it is expensive, so don't get me wrong, you're not going to have everybody you love come, and that's completely understandable, but it's so fun to have a vacation with everyone you love, and their common interest is like you as a couple, so like you literally have best friends anywhere you go, which is so much fun, and just like you really get to spend time with everybody, like quality time, even if I'm sneaking away and like chatting to you girls when you were on the beach, like for even 10 minutes, like it was just nice, because I didn't feel rushed, and like I only saw somebody for 5 hours during the reception. I gotta like catch up with you guys properly through the week and the weekend. So I think that for me is like the biggest plus, is just like being able to spend more than just those couple hours with everybody you love.
I do love that. I won't lie. Growing up, like I've never really thought about what I want for a wedding, but I used to always be like, definitely not a destination though. Why would you want to do that? And seeing how your approach was with it, and just the fact that you actually get to see everyone, you've completely changed my idea. I was like, no, I think a destination wedding's the best, which makes me also ask though, what was the worst part about doing a destination wedding?
Yeah, worst part is probably trying to coordinate everything for everyone. And it's your responsibility because you are dragging them to wherever you may go. Pro tip for me was an all-inclusive resort. That way nobody felt awkward about who has the bill, or, hey, I would just text you guys like, hey, we're grabbing drinks in the lobby bar. And like everyone can come. They all have the wristbands. They all are staying on the property, so they're not drinking and driving. They don't have to go anywhere. And you have free time as well, of course, if you guys want to do excursions. But it was probably really stressful in the beginning because I had a lot of people being like, I don't want to stay in the resort, but I want to come. And I was honest and was like, to be bluntly honest, I don't really want you to come then because I would not get to catch up with you. So I was like, my whole point of having this destination was to spend, like I said, multiple days with people because we live so far away from everyone that we love. So I was like, if you can only come, for those couple hours during the wedding, I don't want you to waste your time, fly there, and you can't get into the resort. You can't hang out because you're not part of it, leading up to it, because we had a lot of events leading up. So a lot of times I just told them, like, I'm really sorry. At the end of the day, this is how it's structured. It's the easiest for me, and I get to see you. And so I ended up not having some people come, which was completely understandable. I wasn't mad. It was an expensive resort, and also it was like a 3-day event. So it totally made sense if people couldn't fit that into their schedule or, finances.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. I got to ask then. What was your favorite memory? And I know that's so tough. That's so mean of me to almost say, but it's like, if you're like, oh, that was just magical. What was your favorite memory of the weekend?
Probably I'd say the reception, because I was so freaking nervous before. Like, I was anxious. I was having a million people text me. I don't know why my planner wasn't handling this, but people were texting me about things that I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I just was so anxious beforehand. It was like I flipped a switch that was like different from my personality. And then when I saw Michael, he's like having a good time. He's quite buzzed. Like, he's just living. And I was like, oh, wow, we're having 2 different experiences right here. And once we got married, and like it was kind of stormy during the wedding, so like I had to ditch my veil, and like it was super hard to walk down the aisle because of how windy it was. So I just had all these balls, like a ball of nerves. And then once we got to the reception, I was like, I want to drink, like I want to eat, I want to have fun, I want to dance. And so like that was my favorite memory. And everybody got to know each other by then because it was like one of the last days. So it was so fun to see everybody dancing together and interacting, and hearing my friends be like even Tom and Rob, our friends, were over last night, and they're like, oh, we love Pernille and Andre, like they were so sweet. Like everyone just like, recapping the wedding. And I was like, that's so cute that all my friends get to hang out and become friends.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Is there a random memory? Because that was your favorite. I know this question might be bizarre, but is there just like a random memory that really sticks out? You're not like best. You're just like, oh, that was a funny, unique, standout moment or anything like that.
A random memory?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like a funny story, maybe.
Oh, a funny story? That's appropriate?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess... Though instead of a rehearsal dinner, we did a rehearsal boat, which was really fun. And it's like meeting season in Cabo for whales. And we saw so many whales, and they were so close to the boat. That was probably just like the most magical thing I really had seen. And also all of like, it was basically our bridal party and their spouses and our parents came on the boat, and we did speeches. And I think that was so fun to hear everybody's like thoughts and hear them public speak. And it was just cute. It was like more intimate. And my best friend since like middle school, Maddie, she had like prepped her speech, and it was so cute and perfect. And like her and I always talked about our weddings when we were in middle school, because we were like basically each other's dates constantly. So I think that was probably one of my my random memories, but lovely memories. What's your favorite memory?
I love that. Oh, favorite? Oh, God. I'm trying to think favorite and funny because they're definitely polar
I know, that's where I was like,
opposites.
funny's kind of hard.
Okay, I'm going to say one memory. I don't know why it just stands out. And this isn't like, yeah, I'll just tell this memory. So Michael's walking down the aisle and I'm not a crier, but like they come at random times for me. So like I just, yeah, I don't really cry in sad movies, anything, maybe once or twice a year. So Michael walks down the aisle and I start bawling. And I'm like, first of all, like, no offense to Michael, but you're my friend, not Michael. I was
Yeah,
like,
what the
you
heck?
know what I mean? I was like, why? I was like, why am I? Because, you know, like after you cry, you're like, oh, there's nothing left. Like that was the feeling I had. I was like, what kind of psycho are you that you cry when Michael comes and not when Sav comes? And I'm just like, I felt kind of guilty in that moment. I was like, I should have saved some tears or something, but you can't control it. So I'm sitting there and be like, oh, I'm such a shitty friend. And then you walk out. Oh my God. I was like, oh, just kidding. Tears times two, like twice as hard. And I was like, mascara running. And I was like, I just got to say, you looked so beautiful and amazing. And it was just crazy to see, like, witness you guys like walk down the aisle in that like magical moment, but just you walking there. And it was just like, it was just love in the air. Such a, oh, it was just everything. So not to make that moment remotely about me, but it was just a funny experience of me being like, where the hell do these tears come from? But
I love it.
just, yeah, that was
Michael will
a moment that
be
stands out
honored
for me.
that you cried when he walked down.
Let him know. I'm like, and I'm not a crier. I'm just so happy for you too. And you're just such a good match. And it was a gorgeous moment. So it was everything, like stars aligning.
You know,
So,
wait,
I
okay,
loved it.
I do have a funny memory now that you say it. I'm thinking
Yes.
of the actual wedding. So we read our vows to each other separately before the wedding, which I was glad because then when we reread them, I had like blacked out in the moment when we first did our first look and read them that like I got to hear like what he was actually saying the second time around, and I wasn't crying the second time around. I was crying the very first time, like privately, but we were doing it at the pool, which I think you saw because everyone was coming down early, and Michael has this great uncle, and he flew so far for it. He lives in Nevis, like in the Caribbean. So he had to travel just as far as we did. And we hadn't seen him yet because like his flight was delayed and they lost his luggage. So then he had to go buy a suit. It was like this whole ordeal. And he had just gotten in and he didn't realize we were reading each other's vows, and we were like mic'd up with the videographer, and he was like, God, are you guys ever gonna stop talking, is what he said. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, Michael, why is your crazy uncle yelling during our vows? And he was like, I don't think anybody told him. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we got a redo at the actual wedding, which I'm glad, but it was funny. It was like, we weren't mad at him. I don't think he realized it, but we were just like, can you not see there's like a million cameras on us and like I'm crying? Like, it was funny.
That is out of a movie. That is amazing.
Leave it to like the
I just
crazy old
thought-
uncle, right?
It's like literally a movie trope. You know what I mean? It's always the crazy uncle. It's no one else that makes that thing.
Always a crazy
I
uncle.
love it.
Gotta
Okay,
love
I
him.
just remembered one other funny moment that involved you. So we went onto the beach and we were taking just classic Instagram photos, like just the Instagram girlies we are. And we were just like frolicking in the water, taking some photos and videos. And I had this vision. I was like, you know, like the Bond girls, whenever they like walk out of the water, like the hair slick back, kind of thing. So I was like, oh, I want to recreate that. So I walk kind of deep into the water. I'm about to go, and I feel the current.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel myself get like sucked under, but I'm a really good swimmer. Like did competitive swimming for a long time, so I was able to get out of it. And then in my head, I was kind of like, if I wasn't a really good swimmer, would I be gone now? And I was just kind of like, whatever. And so I get out, take my video, and then like we're all taking these. We're going to end up on Influencer in the Wild because we're trying to get the angles. We're down in the water, and there's so many videos. I'll post them actually on our Hitting the Bars Instagram. Like so many videos of, it's not so funny, like of the videographer getting crashed because we're sitting down and then a wave comes and just like takes out whichever one of us was taking the video, and there's like so many, and so we're just kind of laughing, like we're not taking it too seriously. And then the next day Sav comes up and we kind of mentioned that we've been taking photos and videos, and you're like, you guys went in the water? We're like, yeah. Like, you don't see the red flag, and we had no idea that it was like the currents were so bad that no one was allowed to go in the water. And we're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like we just risked our lives for Instagram photo that I might not even post at this point. But yeah, thank you for, I was completely oblivious. But yeah,
you should have
listened to the red.
Yeah, you should have
red flags.
asked. Yeah, I was like, that's like a known thing in Cabos. You cannot swim on that part of like Cabo. Los Cabos means cove. So there's like 2 coves, and like you can't swim there technically because of like, I don't actually know the storyline, but I've just like grown up going to Cabo and like you were never allowed to swim. So it cracked me up. It wasn't the next day. It was literally after you took it. And I walked up and I was like, hi guys.
What was it after?
And I was like, why are you guys wet? And then you were like, we went in the water. And I was like, were you not destroyed by the water? And you were like, oh no, we are. And that was so funny. I told everybody that because they all knew you couldn't swim. And I was like, these girls are getting photos in the frickin' like it's dangerous. People die like every year from those currents.
And it's the classic. It would be the Canadian and the 2 girls from LA
It
that
truly
have to
would
take the
be.
Instagram photo. We would. It's out of influencers in the wild. Like, I'm like, really? I'm that predictable? I'm like, yeah, worth it. Not worth it. I regret it, but I have the footage and I live to tell the tale. So
Yeah, you have to post the
worth
photo.
it.
Exactly. Worth it.
I will. I was like, I'll post the video of me getting like crashed by these waves, because that's way, you know what, a hot photo is cool, but a girl in a bikini getting destroyed by a current, way better content.
Way cooler.
Okay, enough about me, because this isn't about me. We got to talk about your dress. You had hinted at it before, and you mentioned it was like the most SAV dress, and you walked out, and I was like, yes, that is perfection. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm not a girly girl when it comes to weddings. I'm like, I don't care, just have somebody design it for me. I will like whatever you do. But when it came to my dress, that's what I cared about. And I had pinned this Berta dress, and I didn't even know who Berta was. Like, I don't know design or anything. And I just like saw she had a lot of elegant, sleek, sexy, sparkly gowns. And that was like her thing. So like when I bought it, they were like, okay, like let's size up. Like we always size up just in case, and then we'll alter it. And so I went back for my alterations, and because they sized up, they were like, oh shoot, you should have stayed in the original size. Like you haven't fluctuated, and now we have to redo the whole thing. And like my seamstress, she was amazing, and she had to like take out the cups completely. They had completely changed the top because I sized up, because like it would have been like a bigger, bigger boobs as well. And so she had to completely fix it. It was amazing. I like texted her after and was like, thank you for making this dress, my dreams. The only thing is it ripped. Like it ripped everywhere, which is so, so sad, but it's still phenomenal and gorgeous, and blood, sweat, and tears and money into that dress. It was totally worth it, because every single photo I look at, I'm like, damn, I look good. And like Michael literally would not stop touching my butt in that dress. I was like, Michael, like, what are you doing? And he was like, what? It looks so nice. And, I thought it was so fun, because I asked Michael beforehand, what do you think my dress will be? He was like, sparkly, of course. You love sparkles. And he was like, you love, like having your boobs pushed up because you got fake boobs. Like, that's totally your thing. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be flowy. So he was like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be tight. So it's kind of fun, though. You should definitely ask your fiance beforehand what they think. And then, like, he was like, oh my gosh, I was totally right about this. I was wrong about that. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to steal that. That's amazing. But I will say there's something, it sucked that it kept ripping, definitely. But is there something kind of fun? Because it never got to the point where it ripped that anyone would ever notice and falling apart. But there's something kind of magical, because you don't really rewear a dress. And I guess if you want to sell it, but there's also something about keeping it. And there's like little memories. Do you know what I mean? Like each rip was a certain point in the wedding. Is there something like nostalgic about that? I kind of like that.
I don't know, Kelsey.
Or is that just me?
I think
that's a me thing.
I think for me, I was like, this dress was so expensive. I'm annoyed it ripped. Like that's where I was like, ugh, dang it.
I see.
But I am not somebody that keeps things. That's like, I've never been somebody to keep things. Like, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but my house burned down when I was like 10. So I lost everything. And because of that, I do not keep anything. Like I'm not sentimental. I don't hold on to things, because everything's replaceable and everything can poof, disappear. So because of that, I do want to sell this dress, or give it to somebody so they can enjoy it the same way I did, because like I just think it's sitting, you know, in my closet for years collecting dust. I don't even know if I'm gonna have kids. So for me, I'm like, I'd rather have somebody get the wear out of it, love what, like, I loved it so much, I would love to see someone else love it, you know? And like, I'm sure they can find a seamstress that could fix those little rips, right? Like, it's just such a stunning dress that I would get such a kick out of seeing somebody wear this, where my friend Riley did the same thing with her dress. And she was like, it was so cool to see somebody send you a picture being like, this made my wedding day. Like, especially that kind of dress is so expensive that I'm like, if I can help a girl out and be like, hey, I will give you this dress, like, I think that would be amazing. Because Berta's, I was like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard to pay off that dress.
Yeah. Honestly, I love that. And I got to ask, Berta, how do you spell that?
Berta.
Okay, sorry. And I don't want to take down your dress, but I know we have a lot of Alberta listeners. Oh. And the thought of something being called Berta is quite comical.
That is comical.
I love it even more. Because like Berta's, like, if you want to make fun of like an oil rig kind of classic Albertan man, he calls it Berta. He lives up in Berta. Like, you know what I mean?
Hilarious.
And it's like the most like non-elegant dress word when you're from Alberta, but like I say, it was literally the most beautiful dress I've ever said. So when you said that, it was like the most like contradictive sentence, a Berta dress. Because I think of Berta, I think of like a Budweiser can.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that.
That made me giggle. I was like, and it's spelled the exact same as how we'd say Berta.
Berta. I love that.
That's for my Calgary and Edmonton and Red Deer girls.
Yeah. Or it's classy. Berta, a Berta dress made in Milan.
Oh, true. Very true. It's all in how you pronounce the vowels.
Absolutely.
Berta or Berta.
Imagine a British person pronouncing it versus a country folk.
Yep. There's a difference. Just like, you know, it's just the reality. If you have a British accent, you will always sound classier than me from Alberta.
Always.
And it's just the way it goes, and I've accepted it.
Yep, 100%.
Speaking of the way it goes, how did it feel, or did you black out walking down the aisle? Like, I feel there's like 3 moments in life that are so pinnacle, and like one has to be walking down the aisle. Like, how did that feel in that moment?
You know, I had my dad and my mom walk me, which I love that because
I loved it.
I don't know, we're not a traditional family. I'm not traditional at all. So I didn't want, you know, my mom also raised me. I actually lived more with my mother. So for me, it was important for her to be a part of the wedding. And she was like, I would love to walk you with your father. They have a great relationship. Like, they're divorced, but they're friends now, you know? So to have them like by my sides was so like, it was foreign but familiar, if that makes sense, because they divorced when I was 10. And like, you have these memories, but also you never see them together as like a family. So it's kind of cool. Like, I have those photos forever, and I'm so thankful for that. But in that moment of walking down with them, I like felt like I couldn't even enjoy it because I was so nervous. Like, I don't like being in front of a lot of people. Once I got to the altar, I was fine. Like, it was tunnel vision with Michael, but like, with how it was starting to storm, I was like, how am I going to walk in this dress? It was such a tight dress. My dad's tripping on the dress, like the veil's wrapped around my mom. And so like, I think the entire time I was like, guys, just make it. And there was this drone for footage, and my mom's like, what is that? And I'm like, Mom, it's okay. It's a drone. It's fine. And she's like freaked out by it. My mom also wasn't feeling the best. Like, she had definitely gotten sick there. And yeah, my dad's crying. So it's just hilarious. But you know what was actually cute was a lot of people after came up and told me my mom sat with my dad, and my dad has been married to my stepmom, Lynette, since I was like 16. So she's like a second mom. And I guess like at a point they were all crying, and like they all hold hands, which I thought was so cute and endearing, because like I love that my family, I know if I ever have kids, we can have Christmases together. Like, you know, they'll be cordial. They're I wouldn't even say that. They're friends. Like, they have nothing against each other anymore. And that takes a lot for a couple in a divorce. So definitely. I don't know where I got on that one, but that's basically how I felt walking down the aisle. I was just nervous, but happy to have my birth parents with me.
Oh, I love it. I just got chills thinking of the 3 of them. As someone who also comes to divorced parents. I get it. It's just like, that's the one downside of a divorced family is it's like a broken family. So when your broken family can like come together in some way, it's like we're still whole. Like there's something beautiful about that. I love that.
Totally. And even I was talking to my mom and I was like, because my mom and dad actually hung out quite a bit. And I was like, oh, do you guys ever talk about the past? And she was like, no, not really. She was like, he just honestly complimented the entire time. Like, you raised a wonderful woman. Like, just saying like wonderful things, which I thought was so nice to hear is like, that's what they result to, not, digs at each other, or, like talking about each other. They're just like, and honestly, I don't have that memory of them doing that ever. They've always been really good. Once they divorced, they always would have Christmas and birthdays with us. Like they knew, hey, this is not, our kids' fault, which I think a lot of times parents take it out on their kids and like kind of say, I don't know. I just have seen that so often with some of my friends when they get their parents divorced, and it's just like, why? Like, it's not about you.
No, definitely not. Enough of divorce, and let's go back to the wedding talk. Let's not talk too much about divorce. Yeah. Just kidding. But if you had to redo something from the wedding, what would you redo?
I think I would have, and this is for destination, me knowing I was going to do an all-inclusive resort, I think I would have picked the venue first before anything else. Because the venue really takes lead on what you can and can't do with your wedding, regardless of a planner. So I think it just would have helped me know, like there was a lot of things that came up last minute that I wasn't aware of. And my planner had never worked with them before, so that was why. Like she didn't know. So I think I would have picked out the venue firsthand and found out, okay, what can I do? What does it usually look like here? Instead of going the opposite route of just like planner then venue.
That's a good tip. I would have never thought that, but it makes so much sense. So
but
someone's going to learn something from that.
But I'm sure somebody is like, well, the planner can show you the venues. But for me, I didn't like the venue she was showing me. I found the venue I had. And I knew I wanted that one. So I should have just contacted them originally and just said, hey, how does it work? Booked it with them and then gotten the planner.
Yeah. Maybe there's like, you got to kind of do both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like look for a venue. If you're overwhelmed, then try and find a planner that will help you find the venue. Like maybe that's the step to do.
Totally.
It's kind of a bit of both.
Because I do think you need like, especially destination, you don't know you don't know locals. I don't speak Spanish. Also like day of, they coordinate, they do so much. I just think that was a one thing that I was like, I had paid for this flower arch that ended up not being able to come up to the reception, and it was so expensive that I thought I was like gonna get dual usage, to where I was like, oh, if I would have just like talked to the venue firsthand and found out what I could and couldn't do, it probably would have saved me a lot of money and time.
Okay, that's a good tip. Hate that you had to go through that, but someone's gonna learn.
Someone's got to do it.
Speaking of redo, if you could relive one moment, what would you relive? Like, get to go back and just do it again. Like, not change, but just, like, be in that moment again.
Be in that moment? I really liked the ceremony. I thought that was so fun to have everybody there, have Michael. Maybe I would relive the ceremony? Or the reception. I had such a good time at the reception. Like, because it's like you can finally relax with everybody, and everyone's cheerful, and it was just so fun. We were taking shots left and right. I was basically forcing shots down everybody's throats.
Can confirm. Can confirm.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Then I got to ask one question, because people have been asking me, and I was like, I feel kind of bad. And maybe, I don't know if you'll say this on the podcast, but are you guys going on a honeymoon?
Oh, yeah. Why is that bad?
I don't know. I just didn't know if it was like, I should know the answer. And then, the fact I didn't know, I was like, wait, maybe they're keeping it private. I was like, I actually don't know.
No. Honestly, Michael and I have thought about it because we loved the idea of a honeymoon immediately. But with having a dog, it just was not practical, especially with him getting sick.
Yeah.
With the skin. So I'm really thankful we didn't go, because I would have, our dog sitter would have had to deal with the vet and everything and getting him his medicine. So yeah, we were going to do it immediately, but then we're like, no, let's go back. Let's be with our dog. Let's fix everything in our house. Like, we were waiting on everything that was going on with our house, with the pool and the grass. And then this summer we want to do a little Europe trip. and we will take Bentley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the plan is to bring Bentley, and I think like for a weekend, we're just gonna splurge and do it big. Like I think we're gonna go to, Greece or something, and like go to one of those beautiful hotels and have a dog sitter that weekend or something like that. That to me would be like a really fun honeymoon, but I don't know. I didn't feel the need to do one because Michael and I are lucky to travel all the time. So that's where I was like, I feel like, and we live in Puerto Rico. Like that is literally where people honeymoon. So we have done like fun date nights. Like we opened up our favorite bottle of wine when we got back. So it's like, I don't know. I don't feel the need as much to do a honeymoon. And I notice less and less people do it as well.
I don't feel as bad because I was fully aware of the Europe trip. I just didn't really, that's even where I was kind of confused. I was like, they're going to Europe. Is that the honeymoon? But it's not right now. I wasn't sure, but that all makes sense now. And I think it's less common. Like, it almost becomes more stressful to like just suddenly you have to pack for a wedding and the honeymoon. Like that idea exhausts me versus, like it's just nice the idea of vacationing after the wedding and just like going offline after it's all been planned and just enjoying. But something about just like going on the wedding and then having to go on the honeymoon right after sounds like it could be more exhausting than relaxing. But maybe that's just me. And we're both blessed to travel. So maybe traveling isn't as relaxing when you do it often.
Well, also, I think a big part was it was a destination wedding where like Michael's sister she's from Washington, got married in Washington. So she was like, hey, I worked till Friday and then I think she worked till Thursday or Wednesday. She's like, then I got married Saturday. So like they went off to Greece and they had a fantastic honeymoon. And she was like, I liked that. She was like, I didn't get that vacation before where I went a week before and spent time with my family. And then I had all you guys for like 3 to 4 days. So it kind of felt like a fun honeymoon, like a little spoiled moon. So that's where I totally see the appeal and how fun and exciting it is to do it right after your wedding. Maybe we just did ours backwards.
Yeah. No, I see it. I think it's all contextual in that sense, because as soon as I heard hers, I'm like, oh no, that does make sense. If you're in Washington, go relax. So I was like, it all depends on the couple and where you get married. And I just like that there's no, like, you can do it how you want to now. The fact is exactly, you kind of had a little mini honeymoon before, so it would probably be more exhausting to go right after. Yeah. But then you should still do something. And then you come visit me in Sweden.
Exactly. I know. Kelty and I are planning some trips. And that's one of the trips is I get to visit her when I'm in Europe because she lives there part-time, people. She doesn't trip there. She lives there.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, I've had a couple of my friends, and I was like, was I being sassy? Because I've had a couple of friends who were like, how was Sweden?
They now know.
Thank you. They now know. I was like, was I being sassy? Yeah, I was being sassy.
just a tad, but that's okay. You're allowed to be sassy.
You know what? I embrace it. As a Canadian who's very passive, sometimes, you know what? I let my sassiness out, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
I was just going to say that. Like, you are truly one of the kindest, chillest, genuine people I know. And you're allowed to be. I don't think you've ever been sassy to me. Like, you've never, ever. Oh. Even when, like, we would have random things come up of, like, who's handling this for the podcast? You've never been sassy.
Thank you. I savor my sassy for when either it needs to come out or it will make people laugh. And aside from that, I bury it deep and create a lot of demons. Just kidding. Just kidding. You're like, oh, it's going to come out?
Yeah.
Then no.
Just you wait.
Golden retriever energy. I'm like, nah.
Do you get sassy with Megs?
Sometimes. But I like it like a playful sassy. You know what I mean? Like, where he rolls the eyes. So
that's like,
it definitely comes out.
The most Canadian thing ever. A playful sassy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what
still
I mean? Like,
polite. It's not actually. It's not even that. It's like, I'm only sassy when I'm not serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love to be over dramatic when I'm going on my hot girl walk. Like, I do stuff like that. I'm like, oh, it's going to be exhausting and you have no idea how much effort it's going to take.
Yes.
Like, I'm like that kind of sassy. Like, I don't actually need to be sassy.
I love it. That doesn't even count for sassy, but okay. We'll go with it.
Sarcasm, sassy.
There you go.
Tomato.
Yes.
Then let's finish off. We just kind of how we started. I can't remember if we said this online or offline, but how was the first week as a wife?
First week is fantastic. You're in a little love bubble. You get to see all the photos. You get to see all the memes. You get to catch up with people saying, hey, thank you for coming. It's amazing. And you get to say the fun. I said my first H word, husband, when we were flying back. And we're flying with our friend Robert. And I said it. I was like, oh, yeah, my husband has the ticket. And I look at Rob and I'm like, did you hear it, Robert? And he's like, what? And I go, act excited. And he was like, oh, my God, you said husband. He was like, I don't care. And I'm like, I know you don't, but please just act it.
Yeah, that's when you needed to be with the girls, not the boys.
Exactly.
Because the boys don't notice. The girls would have been like, oh, first time.
Absolutely.
Take a photo.
Absolutely. Yeah. But he did a good job still. He still reacted.
Good.
Yeah.
I respect the willing to participate.
Me too. I'll take it any day.
Perfect. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap it up as your first official episode as a married woman.
Oh, now that ages me, but yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a review. DM us if you have any questions or if you want any advice, or I don't know, let's just chat on the little podcast.
Thank you for tuning in like always, and have a fabulous day.
Bye.